Hi everyone, we'll see how we go. Wait for the notification to say that I'm live here. I just did this before, but I actually did it on the wrong page, so take two, try again. So I can see that there's 3 people, that's right, so at least I know people can see what's going on. So heading off to Brisbane again tomorrow. I've got accommodation sorted overnight for Monday's event, which will be outside Common House, which is 74B Wickham Terrace, Fortitude Valley. We're going down as part of the May Day, Labor Day rally. Also, at some stage during the morning, I'll also be going into 4ZZZ radio station and doing an interview, as well as with Jaden from Anti-Poverty Network. We're both going in to do interviews while we're down there. So if you want to join us, catch up with us. If you've got one of our shirts, turn up. Come down and join us. It's 10 a.m. outside Common House, and I've put the details in the top here. If you want to support us, send me a message and I'll send you the account details, because yeah, we always need support with travelling and doing stuff. I'm going to have to actually slow down on doing some travelling because my car's not going to take it any longer. This will be probably the last trip for a little while to Brisbane, because I can't afford to get the repairs done on my car until at least the end of July. So I'm sort of going to be town bound because I can't. My car's taken so much of a pounding driving all over the state over the last 3 years. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Yeah, so if you can help, that's really good. Send me a message. The details are on the page anyway. We further down the page, if you scroll down, you'll see the May Day event that I posted, and it's got the bank account details there as well. But yeah, my car's taken quite a flogging doing all the protests and running around all over the place over the last 3 years, and I've tried my best to keep up with servicing, but my exhaust is gone, and a CCV joint, a leak in the power steering box. Yeah, there's $1,000 worth of work that needs to be done to my car. I can't keep flogging it like this. I can't afford to. So I'm just going to have to be more housebound, more homebound. Yeah, it hurts to say this, but I just can't afford to do the travelling anymore like this. I mean, I'll get my car fixed up better when I can, and then we'll focus on the Christmas parties and stuff like that at the end of the year. Yeah, and it depends if any other events that require me to go interstate, that's different. I don't use my car for that. We'll see what comes up in the future. But as for me driving around the state or having to go to Bundaberg or Hervey Bay or Brisbane, after this Brisbane trip, it's off the table, because I can't risk it. I got a big lecture from the guy at the exhaust joint telling me straight up, drive with your windows down. You've got a lethal exhaust leak. You know what I mean? And it's like, nothing I can do about it. It explains why last time I went to Brisbane, I had to pull off to the side of the road and sleep, and I didn't get home for the next morning virtually because I was so tired from the day's events beforehand, and I left late, and I just didn't get home till 7:30 the following morning. It was crazy. Even though it's a 3.5 hour trip, it might explain why it just knocked me out trying to get home from Brisbane after the last time I went down. So yeah, anyway, I thought I'd just put up the event. If you guys want to come and meet me down there, wear your shirts if you've got some. If you haven't got one, I'll have shirts with me if you want one. And I've got stickers, and I've got badges, and I've got leaflets, and I'll bring banners and a flag, and have our presence known and seen. I'll be with Anti-Poverty Network and the retail. I've always got to look up his name. I can never remember his name. His name's Bill, right? And I always forget the name of the union. And I'm shocking, and I'm not with it today. The weather's really not with me today at all. It's a sleepy kind of day. It's been raining all day. Oh boy. So just bear with me for a second. The Retail and Fast Food Workers Union. Yeah, so, and I know that the CPSU union supports us, and there'll be other groups there as well, or people. We want to try and, get the unions on board as well, so that we can, because the unions need to start paying attention to this really properly, because of the impact it's having on casualised workforce, and the fact that people who are unemployed were workers. They're just out of work. They're workers, you know what I mean? And it's getting to be a really big, serious problem in this country that once you're unemployed, you're ignored, thrown away and treated like garbage, and it's really frustrating. And at the moment, with the housing crisis we've got, the low rate of payments we've got, people are not surviving. And seeing the crap that we have to put up with, like we saw with A Current Affair during the week, and the job seeker rubbish, and, basically a boss can ring up and say, this person's a welfare cheat, when they're not. They're just claiming social security payments. It really worries me what's going on. When people can be reported for not being appropriately dressed, but they might not be able to afford to clothes, and women are expected to have the hair and the makeup and the nails and the shoes and the dress and everything all perfect. That costs money. Foundations, $50 a bottle, right? If you're going to use something that's not going to burn your skin, that's not crap, you know what I mean? My daughter is a professional makeup artist. I know how much makeup costs. And it's not cheap. And to expect to put job seekers in that situation is appalling. And I want the unions to do something about it. And so we're going to, we marched with the Queensland Teachers Union in 2017 and 2018 up here. Yeah, and, that was good. Queensland Teachers Union were with us against the card when we were doing the protest here. I'd just like to hear more from the unions to protect the workers that are losing their jobs, the gig economy workers, the casualised workforce that's on the cashless debit card. It's got to start taking the whole lot seriously, because more and more people are becoming homeless. More and more people are becoming jobless. And they're saying, oh, there's plenty of work. For what? Who? What's the livable wage? It's no good saying people are job shy when you're only offering them 10 hours a week and they can't pay the rent with that, right? Or they're working commission. And the noticeable thing in that A Current Affair was they showed Uber Eats. Uber Eats doesn't pay an hourly wage, superannuation, sickness allowance and holiday pay. It's not a full-time job. Yeah, it might be a full-time job in hours on piecework money, right? And then you've got to have a car that's within 10 years of age, and you've got to cover all of your running costs. You've got to be self-employed, all right? Gig economy again, where you don't make any money. You're not living on an hourly wage. The propaganda around people who are out of work is disgusting. We have 238,000 jobs for basically 3.5 million people who either haven't got a job or haven't got enough hours. All right? Why can't the government just face it? That's reality, That's just reality. And the maths will not work, no matter how much bullying, vilification and accusing people of being welfare cheats you put up there. Basic maths does not fit. You're supposed to fit 3.5 million people into 238,000 jobs. And bear in mind, everybody's supposed to be qualified at every bloody job. That makes me sick. This job seeker is really worrying me, because it puts people in a no-win scenario, total no-win scenario. Because let's look at it critically. The job agencies. If you apply for a job that you're not qualified for, you can be breached and cut off your payments. If your job agency sends you to a job knowing that you're not qualified for that job, you can be breached and cut off your payments if you refuse to go. because you're not qualified for the job. You don't want to waste the employer's time. But you can get cut off your payments for being job shy, for refusing to attend a job interview that's totally not appropriate for you, right? If you're disabled, and we have 376,000 people now on Job Seeker that are disabled, that have incapacity to work, but they still got to look for jobs, or try and work 15 hours a week, right? If they go to a job interview, they're not allowed to disclose their disability or their health issues, because if they do, then they're sabotaging the job interview, so therefore they can be breached, right? And cut off. But failure to disclose is not exactly the most honest way to go with your job interview anyway. It could cause all sorts of problems down the track with the workers' insurance, and But refusing to go on the grounds that you're not physically capable, right? But your job agency goes, no, you can do it anyway. And you might not be able to do it, and you know you can't do it. You'll get breached and cut off. All right? And then, lo and behold, here comes Job Seeker. All right? So the person fronts for the job interview that they've been forced to go to, right? They may or may not be suitable for the job anyway. They may not be qualified, or they may be too disabled or too sick to do. And the employer gets pissed off and says, you're wasting my time. You're here to tick a box to get your welfare. You're not qualified for this job. I'm ringing Job Seeker because you're a welfare cheat. I beg your pardon? You know what I mean? But you've got no other way to do this, because job agency is forcing you to go for this job, whether you're fit for it or whether you're qualified for it or not. If you refuse your job agency, you're cut off. So the employers are going to have to try and process all of these applicants. They're going to really love that, aren't they? They've forgotten we've been through this crap before. It used to be a jobs diary in the Howard government. And one of the biggest things that the employers got really peed off about was people would walk in, ask if there was any work, because that was the way we used to do it. And the boss would go, hang on a minute, I haven't got time, I'm busy serving customers. I haven't got time, I'm trying to run my business. And there's a queue of people standing there with their job diaries, trying to make job applications and get a job diary signed off that they have tried to get a job that day and it got scrapped under a Labor government, I think, because the employers got, businesses got jack of having to, hang on, I've just got to stop running my business so I can sign the form for these people to get their Centrelink payments, right? But now the attitude is, it's tick and flick, and if they're just doing tick and flick, then they're welfare cheats. No, they're not welfare cheats. They're there because they've been forced to go there for a job interview. Some people might want the job. Some people might actually be qualified for the job. But those that will get sent that the job agency doesn't give a stuff, right? Because if you say boo, and if you're honest, you're sabotaging your chance of getting that job, right? To me, it's a no-win scenario. You get cut off if you refuse to do something you can't do, right, or not qualified to do. You'll get cut off if he can get you cut off. These people have got too much power. We have a housing crisis. We have people going without medication and back to starving, right? And now these employers have the power, as well as the job agencies, to take away the roof over your head and your kid's head and take the food out of your stomach, because they've got the means to take away your income. And then you've got to fight like hell, right? And, they're talking about a cut-off period of 4 weeks. That's enough time for you to become completely destitute and homeless. In fact, you're already destitute if you're on payments. Do you know what I mean? This is disgusting what they're doing to this country, and it's a real worry. It's a real worry. With this job seeker, how many people are going to be at risk of sexual harassment or coercive techniques, or bullied into working in subpar conditions or lower wages than what they should be getting. Because if they speak up, ring job seeker. But the hours, the hours won't be enough to get you off of Centrelink. No, it'll all be casualised and slavery type work. I mean, I'm sick to death of this country just abusing its people. The policies are just abusing people, And they've got everybody boxed. If you don't do this, we'll cut you off. If you do this, we'll cut you off. If you're honest, we'll cut you off. And now we'll throw in the employer into the mix, who can take one look at a person and go, you're not dressed appropriately. I'm going to ring up and I'm going to make a complaint. Because you didn't turn up with steel cap boots on. You might not have had them. You might not be able to afford them. Right? You need a job to be able to earn money, to be able to afford to buy clothes and things like that. And I fear for young women who turn up for a job interview without having had their hair and makeup done. And there's a certain element of people in our population that are unemployable. And that is just God's honest truth. No matter how much they try, wherever they go in life, they will be, and there is just a small portion of our population across the board, and there's no allowances for those people either. Right? They'll be shoved in like cattle, and then they'll take one look at the person. You're not appropriately dressed. Your attitude's not right. Your education's not right. Your speech is not right. You know what I mean? No, this is wrong. And this is why I do all this as well, because I fight against the cashless debit card. The cashless debit card impacts every element of our social security system and our housing system now. And whoever's laughing, it's not a bloody joke. And I'm sick of trolls who think it's funny. So we've got a laughing emoji troll here. Good luck to you guys, laughing about what's going on. It's not good enough. When I see a friend of mine on Facebook who lost a job a couple of years ago, is now down to 45 kilos in weight, will be homeless at the end of this month if she can't find somewhere to live, because her NRAS housing is ended and they want, I think it's $480 a week for the property that she's in now. All right. And at the beginning of this month, the 11th of this month, she was in hospital with organ failure because of lack of food and having to ration insulin. It's not funny. When I see a laughing emoji come across this screen, that really does trigger me. And I have every right to be triggered, because when my friends go offline and then they come back and they've been in hospital with organ failure due to malnutrition and not being able to have adequate insulin in the 21st century in Australia, it is pathetic. But there's a lot of people out there going through this, and they're not having their meds. A lot of people, of the 376,000 people with disabilities, and everybody on a job seeker can't afford to see a specialist. And as more and more regional areas close down bulk bill doctors, people can't see doctors. I mean, when you're living on nothing, and there's nothing affordable across the whole country now for anybody on a youth allowance, job seeker, right, and parenting payment for rentals, and barely nothing for people on DSP, and you expect them to cough up between $70 and $140 just to go to the doctors, to take their kids to a doctor, because the region that they're in no longer has any Medicare bulk bill services, and that's rife through New South Wales and other regions. This country is in trouble, and people are in trouble. And you've got a current affair, and you've got Stuart Robert carrying on about, stop expecting your community to support you. No, we don't expect our local community to support us. We expect our government to keep the social contract and abide by its obligations under international human rights, the right to social security, and the laws retaining to social security in this country as an inalienable right for every citizen of this country. Not try and abdicate its responsibility and go off on its religious little tangent, right? Like Scott Morrison said to his little congregation last week, that people that receiving social welfare are immoral. Immoral, really, okay? What is immoral is $19,000 a minute going to the mining conglomerates in corporate welfare. That's immoral. While they strip this country of all of its resources and it goes out through multinational companies and only a few people right at the top are profiting and the rest of the population is not getting any benefit from those resources, as everybody hides their taxes and does their tax dodges and gets their tax breaks, right? And they have the cheek to turn around, and Scott Morrison's turned around and said it's immoral for people to claim their inalienable payments under law. No, it's not immoral. It's a right for every citizen in this country to have peace of mind, to know that they have Social Security. You know, and to turn around and to his view is the charities should be handling social welfare issues. So what he wants to do is turn the clock back 130 years or more, back to the days of the Victorian era, where all of us are sitting on the street begging, right? And there is no social welfare because his religion doesn't believe in it. It's making me really sick what's going on with this country. It's, our diggers went to war. And this is what we, you know, well, do you know what is immoral? The democide and the social murder that's being committed by this government. That's immoral. Right? That's more than immoral. And kids not being able to have what they need. Whole families in Ceduna had to rely on the charity of another charity in Melbourne for shoes because they can't get what they need on the cashless debit card and the shoe shop closed down. You know, small thing to some people, but not to 900 families who couldn't buy shoes for their kids for school. You know, you know, it's immoral in my book to sell people to a private company and give away 80% of their Social Security money to that company for free and control their lives. That's immoral. You know what I mean? That is disgusting. That you can profit and sell people, because that's basically what they've done. That's okay. In his book, sell everybody to Indu. Put them on cashless debit cards and we'll just take the treasury money and give it to Indu. We won't put it, you know, give it to the recipient properly. We won't give them paupers rates of pocket money of 20%. All right? I hear so many cases where people can't even access their $200 every 28 days, especially if you're Indigenous or you want to buy something secondhand, they just knock them back. The racist aspect is disgusting. How people who are non-Indigenous and Indigenous are treated on the card is totally different too. And I'll just get really annoyed with it. Yeah, I'm just sorry. I've just gone on a tangent. I think you guys are feeling where I'm coming from. We need to do a lot more. We need to stand up a lot more. We need people to speak up a lot more. And when events are getting organised, people need to turn up in droves. And we need to start telling this government, this is not Australia. This is not what Australians want. This is not what the community wants for our fellow Australians. And those out there who want this, all right, who's, you know, I've been doing a lot of stuff on TikTok, and one guy said something, and I just sent a reply, video reply, but I also put a text reply on it. Money is not my God. Simple as that. A lot more to life than just money. Right? And those that seem to think about my tax dollars and blah, 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 rubbish, bullshit, I don't know what sort of bubble they live in, or whether they think that they're what I call Teflon coated. But the only people that have got that sort of protection are the elites and the public and the politicians. Everybody else in the middle class and below, you're not protected. One accident can change your whole life. A loss of a job can change your whole life. I saw on Rachel Seward's post a lady writing 62 years of age being forced to sell the home, the family home, because job seeker she can't pay her mortgage anymore, and she's 62. So yeah, she might have a pile of money in the bank. She won't be able to buy another house, and she'll end up either trying to get a rental or homeless. Thanks. But there's going to be a lot of people out there in the next 6 months that are going to lose their homes and end up homeless purely for the fact that our social security payment no longer can pay rent anywhere. And only 3 room rentals were affordable for singles across the whole country in the latest analysis by Anglicare. I don't know what their game is. We have 47,000 homeless people right now here in Queensland. 47,000 homeless people. And I was talking to Jaden this morning on the phone, and I asked him how bad is it in Brisbane, and he said it's everywhere. Go for a walk at night, which I plan to do tomorrow night. I'm going to go for a walk around Fortitude Valley, and that's where I'm staying, and I'm going to go for a walk. And he just warned me there's families with kids on the streets. This is the year 2021, not 1821, right? Not 1921, not 1931, but they seem to bring it back to those days. So what the hell did my grandparents go to a bloody war for? What did they sacrifice for? What did my parents work their asses for? Right? Why is everybody working their asses off? For what? So that they can be asset stripped. If they lose a job, they'll lose everything they've ever worked for. No. This is why I support the Scandinavian and Norwegian systems, where you get up to 90% of your wage as your social security. But you're not means tested in any ways, and you can keep your savings and you can keep your mortgage, and that you're paid an adequate amount, so you're not going to become homeless. You know what I mean? So you don't have this mental stress of losing everything you've bloody worked for, while they grab everything. And it's all a money grab at every level. And you can see it in every sector. It's all a money grab. It's a massive wealth transfer from the whole country to the elites. That's all it is. And it's so damned obvious now because they're hitting everybody. But they're still using the conquer and divide and try and pit everybody, pensioners against unemployed. And it's like, no, pull your head in, pensioners, right? These kids don't have the opportunities that we had. The jobs aren't there, right? The security isn't there. The lifelong jobs aren't there. The ability to get a driver's license for $30 is long gone. You know, you need $1,000 plus to be able to just get a driver's license. These kids can't afford to even get a driver's license. We have 200,000 students coming out of school every year. We don't even have 200,000 jobs available for them to go to school. We don't have the industry. We don't have factories. We don't have the work. I've sold it all off. They've sold our kids off. The Howard government started it, and they now the fruits of his labour is coming home to roost. All right? And when I see on the internet last weekend protesters in France with all of the unions out because the unions in France support their social welfare sector, and Macron is trying to cut social security payments, and there was hundreds of thousands of people on the streets with the unions fighting this. And when they went after the old age pensioners in France, the unions came out again. And that's what we need. We need solidarity. We need the unions to stand up and say, no, this is not good enough. Not just only about the workers, because this is about the workers' families. This is about everybody. So, yeah. I've only got the figure of 47,000 homeless for Queensland that popped out this night, yesterday. I think that figure popped out. We don't have the true figures for Australia. They keep trying to say there's 110,000 homeless people around the country any given night. That's a load of rot, because they were saying that pre-COVID, right? And they were saying that 5 years ago. when the true figures pre-COVID were around about 300,000 people, because they don't count people who are living in sheds, living in cars, living in tents, right? They only tend to count people that are absolutely living on the streets in the cities. All right, they have a funny way of counting homeless people, whereas you've got people that are couch surfing, sleeping on someone's lounge room floor, in their shed. You've got families living in cars, in tents, all right? People who don't have a home are homeless, all right? It is, you know, and they need to actually start looking at the figures. But that'll really frighten everybody even more. Look, our housing up here, there was a housing program. They've closed it because they've got no housing to give people. Even Rent Connect can't help people. You know what I mean? It's our homeless situation at the moment, David, would be easily over 300,000 people. Easily. It was like that 2, 3, 4 years ago. Yeah, so anyway, I'll hop off, but if you can help me out, guys, send me a message in the message box. I'll give you the account details. But as I said, after this, unless I can do something about my car, I have to take it easy until at least July on doing stuff. All right, I'll talk to you guys later, and I will still be, if anybody's on TikTok, I've been having a ball on TikTok. I've done a lot of little 60-second videos on TikTok. I've been live the last 3 days because I've only been on TikTok a few weeks, but I got the 1,000 followers, which was good. So I've been doing lives. I've got a story coming up about a card holder, and sometime in the next either 14 days to 28 days, because we've got to wait for a certain period of time, I may have a good news story about an ongoing situation that's been going for one of our card holders for the last 2 years. It may be coming to a close. I can't comment too much about it at the moment because she doesn't know whether she has to wait 14 days or 28 days to see which way it's going to go. But if that's, as soon as I know, there'll be a positive story here for that one. But put it this way, I tell people, if you are knocked back on an opt-out, appeal. If they knock you back again, appeal. Take it to AAT Tribunal. Don't stop fighting. Don't give up. All right? Just don't give up. That's all I'm going to say. All right, I have to go, and I'll talk to you guys later. All right, see you guys.